Good morning. My name is Onepeg MG, and this is the news. Apologies for not uploading yesterday. Family was visiting from out of town. Then we had to get online and stream and do some viewer raids. And by the time we were done with all of that, then there was the Super Bowl, so naturally things were a little bit busy, right? But I do have a couple of pieces of news. One that has to do with in-game stuff, and another one coming from the community itself. It's a bit of a feel-good piece, and we're going to be expanding upon this one in the next coming day or two. But anyway, so there were a few new items that were added to the game. It seems like there were a couple of things that were missing a little bit, and thanks to some community input, Nikita decided that it would be a good idea to add in some of this stuff. These items are 540mm barrel for the MP133 12-gauge shotgun, 540mm barrel for the MR133 shotgun with rib, and the HK quad rail handguard with a flip-up sight for 416 compatible systems. Secondly, and this one takes a little bit longer, there was an impromptu Q&A session with Nikita. Someone on Reddit more or less took it upon themselves to say, well, since Nikita's been awful active on Reddit as of late, maybe I'll just ask a bunch of questions and see if he responds. You never know. And in his case, Nikita actually got back to him. So there was a list of almost 20 questions that were asked of Nikita, and he responded to each one in kind. And for the purpose of getting the word out, I figured it would be pertinent to go through each one of these and at least report on what is being planned. So first was, will bullet velocity depend on actual rounds and not the gun in the future? Right now, bullet velocity is an ammo parameter. You can see it in the ammo chart. Gun barrel can influence it, though. Subsonic ammo, when will it work? Nikita says in the next patches. Now, I don't know if he meant in the next patch itself or if it's coming in several patches from now. Gun barrel heat distortion sight picture, yes or no? Yes. So it will have some effect when the gun barrel heats up to distort what we see in front of us. Will helmets ever revert back to realistic protection? Nikita says, I don't think so. A full realistic approach on helmets will make them unuseful because they'll all be the same level 1 to 2 protection. Anyway, helmet parameters is subject to change. Armor zones still planned. If yes, will they have realistic protection or will they be tweaked like helmets? Armor zones are planned. We want to make body armor realistic. More realistic movement inertia planned. Nikita says that they had inertia before, but it looks like it's additional lag or something. It doesn't really play well with the game. Bullet drop seems excessive for some rounds. Will this be changed to realistic values? Nikita says yes. Will rigs like the BlackRock and AVS be changed so that they can store realistic amounts of magazines? Nikita says yes. Gun silencer durability. Will there be a difference between wipe and chambers? Silencer meaning durability versus performance of it. And he says, yes, exactly everything you described. Is personal sight zeroing still planned? And Nikita said, we will think about it. The question had to do with people zeroing out sights inside of their hideouts themselves and then having it kind of like remembered. Do SCAVs use hit scan or projectile mechanics or a combination of the two? Nikita says they do not use hit scan. They shoot the same way as players. So this is interesting because the common belief is that it was like a roll chance where the scav noticed you, they took aim at you, and then it was kind of like this RNG roll mechanic, and it was, you know, when I fire, do I hit you, yes or no, and then it determined where it would hit you. And in this case, Nikita says that's not true. He says that the bots shoot just like we do and that the bullets are actually being rendered and they have ballistic mechanics. So that's interesting because that is counter to anything that I have ever heard up until this point. And I think it deserves to be investigated a little bit further, and maybe at some point Nikita could expand on this. I'd really like to get some type of more long-winded explanation in terms of how the AI's ballistics mechanics actually work. In the future, will labs be accessed from another map? We will think about it. In the near future, labs access will be limited. Is open world scrapped, or is there still a chance to see it in the distant future? He says it's still on track. which is also a little bit interesting because in the most recent Russian podcast, they were talking about regionalizing maps and that a large open world was not necessarily viable. So it seems like maybe they're not sure. It's going back and forth a little bit. I guess some clarification on this one would be warranted too. When will vodka be in the game? And will it help with radiation poisoning? Vodka will be in the game pretty soon. We just need to add a drunk effect. For Karma system to work, we need a way to ID people. Will walkie-talkies, GPS devices, and maps help with that? Didn't get how all the stuff you described related to Karma system and how they will help ID people in general. So that's interesting. So I guess the person's asking, like, we need a better way to be able to identify who's a bear and who's a USEC before we just start shooting them all willy-nilly with this Karma system being implemented. I guess it'll be interesting to see how there's going to be some kind of preventative or identifying measures that can be taken in order to be able to tell, like, who is who, other than just getting used to the fact that, like, bears tend to wear black and USECs wear green. But anyway. How long will heal time of the dead PMC to full be when hideout come? And Nikita says, subject to test, I don't think that it will be a long time, and by long time I mean hours. How many PMC characters will we have when the hideout comes? Don't understand the question. You meant how many PMC character slots will be on the account? When the hideout is released, it's still going to be one character per account. What might DLCs be? New locations, new quests, new mechanics, new traders, events, and so on. And then the last question, which was a little bit of a cheeky thing. Do you know how many shooter games are ruined for me because of Tarkov? He says, oh, stop it. So then there was this addendum. Addendum to question 15. So he went on to kind of elaborate. We will use GPS and maps to radio our position over walkie-talkies to other players of our faction, not directly tied to Karma, but a system to make Karma viable. And he says, well, I guess so. And then an addendum to 17. At one point, there was a rumor about 3 characters per account. Obviously not true now that you answered. Will scav runs be our only option while we wait for 1 PMC to heal? Yes, it is planned to have 3 characters on an account, but it will be the whole profile in profile thing. You will not be able to use them as switchable characters with a single stash, but who knows, we'll see. That's all I can think of now. Stay true to your vision, Nikita, etc., etc., etc. So it seems like there's going to be like 3 playable characters on an account, kind of like if you were playing World of Warcraft and you had like a main character and then you had alts. It looks like there's going to be multiple characters that you can play, but they won't be sharing the same stash of items, which is a little bit interesting. I do agree with the kind of line of this questioning, though, where once the hideout is implemented and these heal over time mechanics where you have to kind of like get your main character kind of up to speed in order to be able to like run another mission, is going to be something that, if it's time consuming, the amount of downtime could be a serious deterrent for a lot of people. A lot of the draw that Tarkov has for all of us is the ability to be able to, you know, you lose, you get back into your hideout, or you get back to the main character screen, you put on your next set of gear and you get back in, right? Like, that's been the whole appeal of labs, is the constant gunplay with the downtime associated with the hideout. That needs to be some kind of happy medium where you still get the feel of having to kind of like regenerate yourself, but at the same time, you're not sitting in your hideout for 30 minutes waiting for your PMC to heal enough to where they can go out and raid again. So it'll be interesting to see how all of this works. Maybe it's one of those things where the PMC has to heal for a while, or you can pay a premium to, you know, this next medical trader, for instance, and expedite the healing process to 30 seconds, but it costs you, you know, 30,000 rubles or something like that to bring your character up. I don't know. We'll see. And as I was in the process of editing the upload for today, Battlestate released a new tweet where they installed a hotfix for the client and servers with a list of minor changes. In this, they say they fixed a minor bug with the influence of FOV on the sites, a minor fix of ballistic settings of some of the doors, and fixed the glass elevators on the labs location. Now AI cannot see through them. Now, when they released the last patch, 11.2, The patch notes, I believe it said something akin to not being able to see through the elevators already, but apparently that wasn't all the way fixed. And as of now, it also seems like the patch note where they said they're no longer able to throw grenades through certain windows is still not completely fixed, as I've had grenades thrown through windows that are supposed to be not. So the last item I have for today actually has to do with a story that I reported on previously. And if you haven't seen the video regarding this, I'll put a link to it. But in a prior news story, I reported on a gentleman that had made a request on Reddit to Nikita and the development team with a sampling of his voice acting skills to see if he could become the voice of a USEC 3. The gentleman making the request goes by the handle of 1041. And in his Reddit post requested that he be able to be given a shot. Nikita in turn responded and said, what the heck, why not? Let's see what we can do. Now, 1041 is a Twitch partner and avid streamer, it seems. And on his Twitter this morning, he released a tweet. And he says, "This is what it looks like to have a dream come true." And in the picture, it depicts a conversation that he was having with Nikita where he sent off his sound samples and asked what they thought. And Dimitri and Nikita both agreed that they were great. So, it seems we're going to have a new USEC 3 voice very soon. Now, I've been able to reach out to 1041 and request that he have a conversation with me if he would be so kind, and he's agreed. So at some point tomorrow, I'm going to record a little bit of an interview with him and see what the process was like and see if he can shed any light on when he believes we could expect to hear from him, other than my interview, of course. That's all I have for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for all of the support that you have shown me. Again, it has been such a crazy and cool ride so far. I am beside myself. I look forward to seeing you today once we fire up the stream, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow right back here. Thanks.